plan, at least on one level of the four levels, to have like a museum of the early days of Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada stayed in that building and visited it many times and started his London mission from that building. So it's a very significant event. And on the topic of sannyas, of course, we know that property was rented. Back in those days, it was never for sale, so it wasn't purchased, but it was rented. And that all came about by Prabhupada sending 3 grihastha couples, householder couples, to London. And they did such wonderful preaching work in London, and that was only possible because they managed to secure the rental on Sevenbury Place, which gave Prabhupada's movement a centre. And Sriman George Harrison Prabhu, he actually signed the lease and went guarantor, guaranteed to pay the rent. Wasn't much money back in those days, but we have him to thank also for agreeing to sign the lease as a very famous and rich man of the time and a well-wisher of Prabhupada and his disciples. So Prabhupada was very grateful, and he would refer often to those 3 householder couples as grihastha sannyasis. And on one occasion he said they were more than sannyasis. That's quite an honour. They were more than sannyasis. So we have them to thank also. In case anyone's not familiar, we can just say very briefly a little bit of history of the Avanti Brahmana, which is discussed in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam by Lord Sri Krishna himself to Uddhava. And this is on the eve of Lord Sri Krishna after his 125 years of scheduled incarnation and is about to depart. He gives very profound spiritual instructions to his very dear friend and advisor Uddhava, he's indicating to Uddhava that he wants him to go to Badarik Ashram in the Himalayas and to share the Lord's glories with some of Krishna's devotees there, who the Lord himself in person has not had an opportunity to meet. Krishna went to many different places you could refer to it as a beautiful golden triangle in the northern part of India, Sri Brajadam most significantly, and Hastinapur, where the Pandavas eventually domiciled. And the Lord's capital, magnificent capital in Dwarka. And he went to other places as well, I think Matila. So, but he didn't get to go to Badarik Ashram. So he said, Uddhava, you have to go there. And I'm teaching you all this profound knowledge, similar to what I spoke to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Bhagavad Gita. But the Lord gives more detailed instructions in this way, sometimes referred to as the Uddhava Gita. So he explains, he tells the story of the Avanti Brahmana, who long, long ago there was a Brahmin who lived in Avantipura, but he didn't manifest so many in his early life of the wonderful Brahminical qualities. In his own admission, this Avanti Brahmana said, I was a very greedy man. I had a lot of hostility. One could say I even had anger management issues. He wasn't very nice to his wife and children. They didn't like him very much. Friends and acquaintances. Wasn't a very nice person. But towards the end of his life, he had some realizations that I was born in a Brahmin family, and us older Brahmins, we're the only ones who are meant to follow all the four stages of the Varnashram: Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and then Sannyas. So I'm an old Brahmin now, I really should take sannyas. So he was thinking like this. And he did. He left home. It's worth noting that, as Krishna Kirtan wisely reminded me some months ago, that, yes, it's only the Brahmins, and not all Brahmins, that accept the renounced order of life. Only a few who are particularly inclined in that direction, who have passed through the other stages, especially spending 20 or 25 years in the Gurukula, being trained by their gurus in all aspects of Vedic study. And then if they choose, they enter the Grihastha ashram for another 25 years or so. And then they may retire with their wives, or they may go alone. And then at the end, some accept this renounced order of life, sannyas. Kshatriyas, there are three ashrams: Brahmachari, Grihastha, and Vanaprastha. Vaishyas, only two. They also can go to the Gurukula and be trained. Brahmacharya and Grihastha. And for the Sudras, there's only one ashram, and that is Grihastha ashram. So the Avanti Brahmana, he left home, and he performed great austerities, and he suffered a lot of abuse, actually. People taunted him, disrespected him in a lot of different ways. But, as he quoted this famous, and we heard so nicely yesterday from Bhagavat Asraya Prabhu, this famous verse, I shall cross over the insurmountable ocean of nayscience by being firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of Krishna. This was approved by the previous acharyas, who were fixed in firm devotion to the Lord, Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, that is a very famous story, very famous pastime. And it's continued on in the Vaishnava Sampradaya of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who approved of it very, very much. But there's great hope for all of us, as Prabhupada concludes this purport. The conclusion is that the sannyas order depends not on the dress, but on the determination to serve Mukunda, even when there are many obstacles to that rendering of service to Lord Mukunda, Krishna. One carries on, because such is the nature of this world, full of obstacles. Just a few other thoughts and Shastric references regarding sannyas. Well, one famous one is that it is actually forbidden in the age of Kali, because no one is particularly qualified, or very, very few are qualified to accept it. So the broad statement is made there, forbidden, along with a few other injunctions. Sannyasis are also not meant to cross the ocean to the lands of the Mlechas and the Yavanas, to fallen people, lest they become fallen themselves due to bad association. They're meant to stay in the sacred land of Punya Bhumi, Bharatvarsha. And it's generally meant for older men, if they take it all, after 75 years. So, but of course, there are different types of sannyas. There is karma sannyas, where a man takes sannyas, but his desire is to promote himself to higher planets. And then there is jnana sannyas, where a sannyasi who is a jnani, he aspires to merge into Krishna's effulgence, Brahman. Brahmano hi pratist aham. I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. And then there is Vaishnava sannyasis, who very much want to preach Krishna's glories far and wide and add devotees to the family of Krishna. known as the Achyuta Gotra. Prabhupada said once that a businessman and a sannyasi must travel. The businessman to make more customers and to continue supporting his existing customers, and a sannyasi to make more devotees of the Lord, to extend Krishna's family members. And this is actually the highest happiness, even beyond the jnani sannyasis who want to experience the very insignificant happiness of Brahmananda compared to the unlimited ocean of happiness of living in the Lord's abode, or even serving in Krishna's, in separation from Krishna, that far exceeds that of the jnanis. And it wasn't just Srila Prabhupada who took great risks in giving sannyas to some of his younger male followers. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did the same thing. He did give sannyas to some of his disciples who were quite young men at the time. And we see that all of these sannyasis did glorious service. In the case of Srila Prabhupada's sannyasi disciples, they went all over the world. They opened dozens and dozens of centers. They oversaw the translation of Srila Prabhupada's books into many foreign languages, and then their distribution by the tens of thousands. So they did extraordinary, wonderful service. So, but still, for many of us, that ashram may not be necessarily appropriate for our particular situation. And in fact, many of Prabhupada's disciples, like the original three couples, they may be better situated staying in householder life and preaching, because most people will be householders for the vast majority of our lives. And when many persons in London met our three glorious householder couples, they were very impressed, because they saw, well, they're married men and ladies, and Shyamasundar and Malati were also parents. They had little Saraswati travelling along on the great epic journey, the great adventure. So, and many of those persons, like Sriman George and others, were partnered up, as they say. So they saw that this Krishna consciousness is nice. These are householders, and there's family life. It's not just renunciants, monastics. So, in many cases, more appropriate. There is a very famous verse of Rupa Goswami's, which Savapari vinimuktam tatparat nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti uchate. Sava upari, all the designations, false temporary material designations, labels, if you like, that we attach to these bodies, they become very insignificant when one becomes Krishna's devotees. And we all know what those temporary bodily designations, which can be changed and are being changed quite often. Our nationality, our gender, type of external bodily features that we have. We may be in a brown body, a black body, a white body. We might identify as this faith or another, and so on and so forth. It's almost unlimited. Sava upadis. So there are two wonderful side benefits, if you like, which come from rendering devotional service. And that is, one becomes free of all these temporary bodily designations. And the other wonderful blessing that comes upon us is our senses get purified. Hrishikena, Hrishikesha, Sevanam Bhakti Uchate. By serving Lord Mukunda, as it's being described here, Krishna, then our senses actually become purified. We no longer want to indulge our senses, be the servant of our senses. That is actually what Swami or Goswami means. It means one who's gained control, mastery over one's mind and one's senses, is no longer reacting to the dictates of one's senses. Senses become purified. And one gets such a taste from serving Lord Mukunda, Rishikesh Krishna, that the insignificant, very paltry, fleeting gratification of the senses can be very easily left aside. So it's a very famous verse. I thought with what time we've got, tell one, just in regard to Krishna coming periodically and speaking transcendental knowledge, would be to mention a pastime. It happened about 125 years ago. And it involves Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and his son Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati when they journeyed back to Jagannath Puri, where Bhaktivinoda Thakur was building a house at the time. And some of us who have done parikramas around Jagannath Puri will have at least gone to the outside and been shown this particular house that Bhaktivinoda Thakur built. Just a few houses down from Lord Jagannath's temple, the Lion Gate on Grand Road. So anyway, at that particular time, Thakur Bhaktivinoda and his son were on a mission, it's fair to say, to reinstate, revive the dignity of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, which in just 350 or 400 years had lapsed for many different reasons. One of those reasons was there had been an upswelling of many groups, 13 principal ones in number, who all said they were followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but who weren't actually strictly following. And some of the names were the Ols, the Bols, the Gauranga Nagaris, Saki Bekis, Nityananda Vamsa, Sahajya. Sahajya means to take things cheaply. So Saki Beki was a very prominent Sahajya group in Orissa at that time. And they had, and there was one guru, principal guru of the Saki Bekis. Saki Bekis were a group of men predominantly and ladies, but the men would try to imitate the famous Braj Gopis by dressing as ladies, prematurely trying to jump ahead to experience the higher ecstasies of Chaitanya Vaishnavism without actually being qualified to do such a thing. So, this particular, his name was Charan Das Babaji. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and his father were being invited while staying in Puri for some time to different assemblies of devotees and aspiring transcendentalists to speak, because they were very famous devotees of Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of that time. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur was also a very famous former High Court judge, district magistrate in the government, the British government of the day. So he was very well known, and he was most well known as a great Vaishnava, Gaudiya Vaishnava. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur at one of these assemblies took it upon himself to point out the defects in one concocted mantra. And some of us may know what that mantra is. Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam Japa Hare Krishna Hare Ram. Catchy, huh? But it's a concocted mantra. And I'll just give, there's a word in English, doggerel. It means composed in irregular rhythm, poetry that is irregular in rhythm and in rhyme, often deliberately for burlesque or comic effect. Marked by triviality or inferiority. So they're just a few definitions. But what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did at one of these big assemblies was he pointed out the flaws, the defects in this man-made mantra. And he very severely chastised this Charan Das Babaji for concocting this. And the first defect he pointed out is you don't find this in Scripture, this mantra. It's nowhere is it found in Scripture. You've concocted this, created this. And he gave the example, which many of us have memorized, the fact from Kali Santarana Upanishad, where the Maha Mantra is mentioned along with Iti Sodashakam Nam Nam, Kali Kalmashanasanam, Nata Padartha Ropaya, Sava Vedeshu Drishyate. If one searches through all the Vedic literatures, one will not find a method of self-realization and God-realization more efficacious in this age of Kali than the chanting of these 16 syllables, which are the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So he made that point. And also very specifically, he explained that the Upanishads are part of the Smriti, the original 4 Vedas, not Shruti. Not to minimize in any way, shape or form Shruti. Shruti Smriti, Puranari Pancharatra Vidin Vina, Ahoitaki Hare Bhakti Utpata Jeva Kalpate. One who ignores the authorized Vedic literatures such as the Shruti, the Smriti, the Narada Pancharatra, etc., simply creates an unnecessary disturbance in society. So that was the first point. It's not found in Scripture. Second point he made, it's not a bija or seed mantra, unlike Om, Klim, Aim, Svaha, which are. That is specifically in reference to japa. He included that word japa in there. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati took him to task on that. This is not an authorized, japa is not an authorized Vedic seed mantra. And he wasn't done yet. He took him to task that this is rasa basa. Rasa basa means a mixing up of mellows, which creates confusion. And specifically, the fact that in the same concocted mantra he had included Lord Nityananda Balaram's name along with Srimati Radharani. He said that is rasa basa. Balaram is never close by, except on very rare occasions with the other cowherd boys. When Krishna and Balaram and the cowherd boys happen upon Srimati Radharani and her girlfriends, there may be some slight interaction. But as a general rule, Balaram is nowhere to be seen in the romantic affairs of his younger brother Krishna. That's rasa basa. So, and that happened on one occasion when Srila Prabhupada came to one of his earlier temples, and the devotees, not knowing these delicate points of theology, there were Radha Krishna deities in that temple, and there were also Lord Jagannath, Lord Balaram, and Lady Subhadra. And the devotees, not knowing, had put them all on the same altar next to each other. And Prabhupada said this is not correct. You have to create a separate altar for Lord Jagannath and especially Lord Balaram, Balaramji should not be as so close to Srimati Radharani. So he took exception to that and chastised them for that. And after this presentation, there were many disciples of this Charan Das Babaji present, and they all looked at one another and said, "Our Guru has just been defeated by this 21, 22-year-old son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur," which was a fact. So we have to be very careful in not deviating. It's almost like another unfortunate aspect of conditioned souls that the tendency is there to deviate from time to time. So we have to check that on our progressive march towards the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Stay true on the path of authentic Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. So perhaps there's lots more, but we're getting close to the cut-off time. Let's just see if something else can be locked into that. I might stop there, everyone. Any questions, comments, or correction? I don't know if Dr. Mike is available. Down the back there, Sadhana. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for a very informative class. My question is, with what you've just told us, I've always understood about Balaram and Radha have nothing to do with each other. They have their own gopis and, like that. I mean, Krishna has his and, yeah. But in the Maha Mantra, Hari also can represent Radha, and Ram can represent Balaram, what I understood. So could you please comment?
That's a good point. Just before, and I'm not trying to avoid answering the question. I just remembered that either Srila Prabhupada himself or one of his very clever disciples back in the day, after the opening of the Krishna Balaram Mandir, Prabhupada said, and Prabhupada was very well aware, as everyone in Gaudiya Vaishnavism is, of this other mantra. We don't need to repeat it again. But Prabhupada said, we also have something similar. We have Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam Jai Sri Krishna Balaram, which are, of course, the deities that Prabhupada installed in Ramanreti in Vrindavan, his beloved Krishna Balaram. Yes, exactly. Yeah. But back to the Maha Mantra, let me see what we can think of in that regard. Yes, Prabhupada did give different explanations, especially to Rama and Hari. You're absolutely right. Hari definitely refers to Srimati Radharani. My dear Krishna, my dear energy of Krishna, Sri Radha, please engage me in your loving devotional service. So that understanding is there. And yes, I mean, as aspiring Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we are most attracted to their lordships, Sri Radha and Krishna, and also Krishna's older brother, Lord Balaram, and the cowherd boys. Those two rasas, if you like, are foremost in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, either Madhya rasa or the relationship that Krishna has with his cowherd boyfriends, Sakya rasa. So one can meditate in different ways in regards to that, either as Lord Balaram or as Lord Ramachandra, and there are other Ramas as well. Most importantly for us is Nityananda Ram, as aspiring devotees. That's as much as I've got. I'm going to maybe Manibanda Gopal, Ramprashad's here. Bhagavata Sraya's out. Any of you great souls would like to add? Mani's got his hand up. Let's just see.
So Prabhupada did say Ram refers to Balaram, Lord Ramachandra or Parashuram. But in regards to the Hare Krishna mantra, I've heard it suggested several times that when we're chanting Hari Ram, this refers to Radharaman, or he who gives pleasure to Radharani. So it's a name of Krishna, Raman. So that's about all I could offer.
Thank you. No, Bhagavad Gita's got the Gita out there. Would you like
I've
to say?
also read where Prabhupada says Ram refers to the source of all pleasure.
Thank you. Very nice.
Actually, in the purport to 522, Srila Prabhupada quotes a verse from Padma Purana. So the purport goes, material sense pleasures are due to the contact of the material senses, which are all temporary because the body itself is temporary. A liberated soul is not interested in anything which is temporary. Knowing well the joys of transcendental pleasures, how can a liberated soul agree to enjoy false pleasure? In the Padma Purana it is said, Ramante yogino nante satyanande chid atmani iti rama padena param brahma vidiyate. The mystics derive unlimited transcendental pleasure from the absolute truth, and therefore the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is known as Rama.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. Wonderful. Anything else? There's Krishna Kirtans.
Sorry. Did you want to say something? You've got it. Well, I'm going to change the subject.
Sure.
Just today, we don't normally, because we're busy this time of the year with, in the past with the Rath Yatras and various things. Today's actually a very special day for the devotees in New Govardhana. Today's the 45th anniversary of the installation of Sri Gaura Nitai and Sri Krishna Balaram. They were installed here based on the solar calendar on the 28th of December 1980. So today is the actual anniversary. We don't celebrate it because I think because of this time of the year it's difficult for the festival committee to do anything, but just thought I'd mention that for everybody to...
I appreciate it, Krishna Kirtan. Yes, I wasn't aware of that. It's not on there.
No, we don't. It doesn't get mentioned.
But thanks for
I thought I would
enlightening us to that very important occasion, yes. Sri Sri Gauranitai Ki. Sri Sri Krishna Balarama Ki. Nice. Wonderful. What year was that? I missed that.
1980.
1980.
Yeah, and
right.
Radha Govardhana were the year before, in I think it's July.
79 and 80. Yes.
All the devotees from all over Australia came for this festival.
Ram?
When you were talking in the verse about the Brahman, the Bantipur Brahman, you were saying, now that I am an old man and I should take sannyas, I thought you were talking about you, Prabhu.
No. That's never going to happen.
He's making an announcement here.
No. No, I won't say very much about that, but no, I like white dhotis. They're really, yeah. Even though they got holes in them, but that's okay. No, white's good. Right? White's good. White's good for me anyway. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. All right, so we better stop there right on time. Everyone, Jai Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Gaura Premanandi. Yeah, Burley Heads. Burley Heads today. It will be ecstatic, everyone. If you can make it. It's 11 o'clock meeting there. That's Queensland time. I repeat, Queensland time, 11 o'clock. At the back of Govinda's in Burley Heads. You might want to ask Vishnu Jan if there's any room left in the Sankirtan van or Vasustresta. I don't want to put them on the spot. He's already shaking his head, saying, already filled up. So don't ask Vasu. Vasu's got enough on his plate. But yeah, it'll be ecstatic, everyone. As it always is every Sunday, we follow the markets. And yeah, confirmed by the ringing bell. Didn't get enough traction.